Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there to Bland. I am Deleted Scenes, and I would like to welcome you to the return of Live from Sparkwood in 21. This series chronicles the cult classic Twin Peaks, created by David Lynch and Mark Frost. Joining me on this journey are super fans Last Call Troy Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
Netters Network.
Good evening.
And Aged Boomer.
Flappy is dead, okay? He's dead. Can I go now?
Oh, gosh.
What? I mean, come on. It just hit me recently. He's not coming back, and it's messed up, and nobody cares.
I mean, he's a bird.
So what? Doesn't make him any less of a person.
Even if he hadn't, it does. It makes him a bird. I hate to sound like Ben Shapiro, but let me point out the obvious here. I mean, what is a bird's lifespan?
What?
What is a bird's lifespan?
I don't know, but his was too short regardless, man.
That is true, but the fact is that even if he hadn't had such a tragic life, he still wouldn't be with us now, so,
I don't know. There are all sorts of medical breakthroughs happening all the time. You know what? Okay.
In avian medicine?
You know something? I still think his legacy lives on. It lives on for me at least. So that's all I'm saying. Any thoughts, Steven?
He's like, I didn't think we were going to be going this way.
Fine. Well, no, because Twin Peaks memories have nothing to do with Flappy. I understand that. He was only in every episode of the original series.
That is true. You could not have. It is not Twin Peaks without Flappy. I mean,
okay. So I just looked it up. A varied thrush's lifespan is about 5 to 6 years, and it's been over 30 years now. Okay. So I think that even if he hadn't had his drug-addled life cut short by a year or two, he still would not be with us today.
He loved more in those 5 to 6 years than most humans do in a lifetime. I'm just gonna say. All right.
Yeah, but from what I hear, he had a high count. That's true.
There may be other Flappy Juniors out there. Maybe there's hope still, right?
Very possibly, yes.
I do want to start off by saying hello to everyone currently joining us at present on X. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Please hit the like, share out the stream, and if you are new to my channel or any of our channels, please feel free to subscribe. I am at present, I think, like 45 subs away from 5,000. Hoping to hit that goal very soon.
Wow, there you go.
All right, very lucky. All right. I also do want to say hello to everyone joining us here in the chat. First one here was channel member JPRPH1. I would also like to thank Ruby Hoove for sending the $2 super chat over on Troy's side. Have a great evening. We'll watch later. Right?
Yep. Ruby Hoove is one of the good ones. It's like almost every stream I'm getting a gifted membership from Ruby Hoove, which I just think is just so wonderful. Now, it also makes a lot of work for me because then I have to go and change my closing credits every week. But that's okay. It's totally worth it.
One of my most recent channel members, Space Fraggle.
Yep.
Well, Let's find
Space
out.
Fraggle, who, from what I
Yeah.
understand, he hates his family because he received his Star Wars
Yeah.
Holiday Special DVD from me, and he showed it to them. And I'm like, do you want to get like disinherited or something?
You rotten bastard.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a thing.
See, thank you. $10. He says, love the
go.
Star Wars Holiday Special DVD, Troy. The production effort makes it a true collector's item in my Star Wars collection. You see, that's exactly what I was going for. And there is a handful of people who get those every year. I sent one to Mike last year. I sent one to Michael French over at Retro Blasting because he actually joined us for the viewing that last year. Sent one to
So he decided to make himself, multiple times over.
yeah, exactly. Sent one to Greg over at Fanzine, who the year before that joined us for the rewatch. And of course, he's big on the physical media and preservation of media. And sent one to Big Al the year before that when he joined me. So every year somebody is getting those to just keep the holiday special alive. And if anything ever happens to this channel, you guys all have your copies. You can go out and do your own watch parties
If
every year.
anything happens to Troy, I'll know why.
Yeah, Mrs. Pacelli, is there anybody that might want to do harm to your husband? Well, let me see. The list grows every year with the number of holiday special DVDs he sends out. So yeah, I would say so.
All right. Also joining us in the chat, Davina Duckworth. Faithful Blue Wrench, channel member, the Bird Woman of YouTube. Watch out for her channel, Fluff Chick Productions. Connie Cleary. All right. Davina has a question. Did Twin Peaks have a larger viewership than Lost?
Ooh.
No.
Well, I don't know, but I wonder if I could find that out.
No.
I would think not. Lost lasted several seasons longer than Twin Peaks did, unfortunately.
Lost was very popular.
Lost was
at the time.
quite
Yeah.
popular, yes.
Yeah.
No Twin Peaks without Flappy. Certainly not.
What's the big TV now? I guess it's all that Taylor Sheridan stuff.
Yeah, well, see,
Yellowstone.
this is
and
where it gets a
whatnot,
little challenging because nowadays so many shows are the must-watch shows aren't even on network television anymore. They're on streaming services, and that in and of itself limits their viewership because not everyone has access to everything.
I have my Google food and found some.
Go for
the
it.
The original Twin Peaks series had a higher viewership than the first season of Lost, but Lost viewership increased in later seasons.
That makes sense. Keep in mind, too, it was a number of years between Twin Peaks and Lost, so you had more viewers in general in the population. Plus, as Lost got more word of mouth, there were a good number of Twin Peaks references in Lost. So Lost fans probably migrated over to Lost. So you had some cross-pollination there. But as I was doing my Google foo, I came up with a tangentially related statistic that kind of speaks to the point I was talking about with streaming. Remember the Return, the Showtime limited series in 2017. That was a streaming series, right? It was exclusive to Showtime. Mm-hmm. So the original Twin Peaks series had a larger viewership than the 2017 Showtime revival. The original had 34.6 million viewers for its 2-hour pilot in 1990, but the revival averaged around 372,000 viewers per episode. However, when factoring in streaming and on-demand viewing, the revivals average viewership increased to around 2 million per episode. But that's still well short of the viewership of Twin Peaks. Plus, I don't think they've taken into account physical media, the high seas, other ways that people view this stuff. This is what I say about streaming. You're limiting your audience. You're even limiting your ability to find out how popular it is with your audience. So, yeah, anyway. So, I hope you feel like you got your your question answered there, Davina.
Indeed. All right, and all right. So this is a show about kind of thoughts and memories. We've been wanting to do a series recap for a while, and we thought now that this is sort of live from Sparkwood and 21 to return, because we have been gone for a bit, but thankfully not 25 years like the last time.
And thankfully not limited to a Showtime limited series. This is going out on all of our YouTube channels. It'll be backed up to other locations, and you can watch it anytime you want for free.
Free as me.
Hello, little brother. Lee Arvin is in the house. Good to see you.
There you go. Welcome.
Right. You got my link. Good to see you. All right. Let's see. Davina says, I remember channel started rebroadcasting Twin Peaks in the 2000s.
So
that's right.
This, you may not have been with us when I shared, and I don't even remember when during this, the first part of Live from Sparkwood and 21, I did share this, that I did not watch Twin Peaks when it first aired. Its original first season aired. It wasn't until after the season had ended and I was hearing all the, talk about it and whatnot, and I started to get really, really curious. So literally in the off season when the reruns started, I recorded every single episode on VHS so that I could watch it and then rewatch it, and I took notes. I was a little obsessive. So you can say I watched it from the first year, but not from the exact first airing. And then when it came out on VHS, I got all the VHS. In fact, I still have them right behind me. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tapes. That does not include the pilot for rights reasons. The distribution company that put out the VHSs of the original series did not have the rights to the pilot. The pilot was tied up in a different distribution company because they had the rights to release the international film version of the pilot. So this is something that has happened for many, many shows here in the U.S. We'll do a 2-hour pilot here in the States, and it will be brought. It'll be sent to other countries to be shown cinematically. With a definitive ending, and that was what happened with this. So if you go out and you find the international version of the Twin Peaks pilot, there's this ending that solves the mystery, so to speak. And it's not continuity with the rest of the show, except for the fact that the footage that they used to end the international version ends up being used in the following episode for Dale Cooper's dream, with the dancing man and the no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Well, yes, a little bit of the dream sequence for that, but the whole thing of tracking down Bob and the Fire Walk with Me bit and all of that, it's complicated. simply put, because I worked at a video store, I was also able to get a hold of, oh, wonderful. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you, MC.
Yeah. It's
Welcome
awesome
to
to
the
see
show.
you here. So I was able to get an advanced copy of the theatrical, international version. So in my mind, it was like I had the pilot and the series. And if you watch the pilot, the international film up to a certain point, that's basically where it cuts off for the TV airing. But then, of course, I've gotten every DVD since then. I've actually got the series like 4 times in I guess that's 3 different mediums. So anyway, yeah, the word fan is short for fanatic, so I kind of live that out.
Hmm.
Well, I fell down quite a rabbit hole myself. I was in high school when the show first aired, and I was also part of the drama club at the time, and because even then, I want to be an actor, father. Yeah, just get a backup profession like the Air Force, and that was basically my life. To be line. Yeah, that was basically me.
In Klingon is Tachbe,
Yeah.
which means to exist not.
So basically, I was kind of dabbling in independent film at the time because that's when the independent films were kind of starting to come into their own.
Right.
And so I know who David Lynch was already because of course, I had seen Dune, The Elephant Man, Blue Velvet. I'm not sure if I seen it straight through, but I was aware of it. And this was of course before Wild at Heart because I don't think that had been. I think that was between seasons, but I was one of these people kind of became obsessed with the show, and I like a good mystery, and so I really got into it and trying to find all of the clues and everybody kind of had a secret,
Yeah.
and it was one of those situations, like I said before, with Blade Runner, between Blade Runner and Twin Peaks. Those are the 2 worlds that I want to walk around in. And that's really how I felt about Twin Peaks, and I even got to the point where I was starting to dress like Cooper, the overcoat, I slicked back my hair, so yeah, I really
I
fanboyed
think you
out.
kind of understand then, from my
Yeah.
point of view, why as soon as I was, because
Mhm.
okay, so you said you watched it when you were in high school. I was just
Right,
slightly
much
older
first
than
run.
you. I had just graduated high school,
Hmm.
and so, but I wasn't independent yet, right? I was in college. I was still living at home, dating Nanette at the time, and but after I got married, almost immediately after getting married, I found out that there were these fan get-togethers in Snoqualmie, Washington, that where you could go take tours of the filming locations and meet a whole bunch of the people that um, other fans from literally around the world. They came from all over the world, and a lot of the people that appeared in the show. So Netta and I started going on a fairly regular basis, and this was not a cheap trip because it costs. we're half a continent away from, the Pacific Northwest, so we had to fly out there, get accommodations for the weekend, and then the I don't want to call it a convention. It wasn't really a convention, but the festivities themselves were costly because there was, a big dinner on the Saturday night with all the stars and whatnot, and there was you had to pay for the tour and whatnot. But honestly, totally worth it. But I gotta say, it really was like, I really feel like I can say we've been to Twin Peaks, and I showed you on one of the previous streams. Netter and I are in the yearbook. What was it? Class of '89. Class of '89 would have been the year that Laura and Bobby and Mike and all of them graduated, and Donna, and Netter and I are in there, and a bunch of other fans had our pictures put into the log roller was their yearbook. So we've got a picture or we've got a 1980, a class of '89 high school yearbook that we're in from when we attended Twin Peaks High.
And there are actual high school
High school pictures, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty crazy that way. I said fanatic,
Yeah, but I mean, with me, the fanaticism, for lack of a better term, I don't like using fanaticism, but I get it. With me, it got to the point of dressing like a character. I was literally
in life.
I was literally cosplaying Cooper, and I also, but you got to take that extra step in the fact that you got to go to the conventions, that you got to meet the actors and the filmmakers, you got to go to the locations, So that's why I'm really glad that we were able to do this show together, because that way everything is covered. I looked at it as the guy who watched the show every week. And those of you who are with us while we were doing the season 3 episodes, I was watching those for the first time because in 2017 I didn't have Showtime, so I missed it the first time around.
Yeah,
and that's why it's good to have physical media. So that's another reason.
It's exactly right. I see MC's comment. I have never seen this Tarantino take on Fire Walk with Me. I'm going to have to see if I can find it, because I'd really be interested to hear what he has to say about it. He's a bit of an auteur, similar but different to David Lynch. So if he's kind of,
But he's never worked in television, except he did direct an episode of CSI.
And NDR.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah. And he keeps telling us there's going to be a Bounty Law series, but that hasn't materialized yet.
But in fairness, he was talking about Fire Walk with Me, which was a film. So
yeah. I haven't heard what he said. It doesn't surprise me. I don't think the movie would be his cup of tea. Maybe he saw the series and thought it told the story. I don't know. But
I could see him in good natured, taking a poke at it because he likes to riff, But the thing about Twin Peaks, and I think bringing up Fire Walk with Me is a great way to segue into this. You were talking about the mystery of it, right? Trying to solve the mystery, looking for the clues. In a way, though, it's a meta mystery too, because we're also dealing with David Lynch and the way he does, his storytelling. one of the things we're planning to get into as we go forward with this series is looking at some of his other non-Twin Peaks but tangentially related projects, and seeing how literally the mind of David Lynch works, and trying to unravel that mystery. And I would even argue that the mystery isn't solvable. I think he intends it to not be truly solvable. Even when you think you're really close to the answer, you're never 100% certain.
Because when it came to season 3 in particular, I definitely felt that ending kind of pulled the rug out from under me, because I was always of the mind that, no, we're not going to get all of the answers. It's David Lynch. It's not going to be this A to B to C. It's not going to be a straight line. There are going to be things that are going to be left open. And in the end, I felt everything kind of got left open.
Really?
But I feel like we did get some answers.
Well, I know. Well, the when you get to the final dossier, I am of. I think Mark Frost was the one who really wanted to give us some kind of an ending, some kind of a wrap up, and I think, without going into the secret history, which we haven't done yet, and I haven't read, so I can't speak to it. Well, here's the thing, Davina. I'll answer it with Davina. She says she wasn't looking for answers. I was, because you are setting up this mystery, and yes, the main mystery gets solved. I think a little bit earlier than it really needed to be. But,
sure.
But that was the network intrusion, because they were in this mindset of, and I think maybe I kind of was too, in this mindset of, okay, David, but we're doing a TV series.
Right.
We're not doing an experimental abstract art film. We're doing a series. So you have these two diametrically opposed thought processes clashing against one another, Lynch and the network, with Mark Frost kind of in the middle, I think,
being the go-between in a lot of
who
ways.
has, who has the, it's like that line in Spinal Tap, it's, well, David's the fire and Nigel's the ice and I'm the lukewarm water,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's kind of where Mark Frost is he, I'm talking like this, like I know him or something. I don't, but I kind of get the ideas that he was kind of maybe the buffer between Lynch and the network. It's like, like, okay, they're going to go to Lynch. They're going to upset him. He'll leave in a huff. And then Mark Frost will come into the room and say, hey, you know what? Come into my office. We'll talk about it, and he'll be the one who will do the negotiation. That's the idea that I always had.
And when you look at the fact that how much of the, I don't know what to call it, the extraneous material, the tapes and the books and the what,
Diary of Laura Palmer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was most, well, that's an example. The Diary of Laura Palmer was written by Jennifer Lynch, but she did tell us that she had a lot of input from not only her father but Mark Frost as well. And of course, Mark Frost wrote the the Secret History of Twin Peaks, the Final Dossier. Those were his. So he had this way of, how do you want to say it? Getting the story into, like you got a medication, you got a pill, right? And you gotta pack it down into those little gel caps, right? He would take the story and put it into that little gel cap so that you could swallow it, and actually make use out of it, whereas David's the crazy alchemist, coming up with all the chemistry. Well, that doesn't really, translate to curing my curiosity. That's kind of my take on it.
Davina says, I thought Twin Peaks The Return took a lot of risks, but it was a difficult watch. Yeah, in places, because again, going back to probably my chief criticism of season 3 was that I felt it kind of went off on these tangents.
Like Dougie?
I think it. Well, no, not.
I think you were thinking more like the ancillary characters that don't seem to have a great deal of payoff.
Because you have these sort of random cameos, and I get the idea that they were alluding to the fact that there were these other stories going on. What the hell was the Charlene Yee scene about? You have characters bringing up other characters that we never see. You have these cameos where you go, hey, there's Richard Chamberlain. And then hi, I'm Bob Simmons. And then he's gone.
So it was the cameos by characters that weren't even on the original show, and you have these name actors popping in. Is that what you're saying?
And it was distracting to me.
So my take on that, and I get that. I think that's absolutely a valid. I kind of take, so going back to what we were saying before about the difference between David and Mark is that, Mark being more the storyteller that, communicates it to the audience, and David being the more abstract type who, throws out all the pretty colors and says, you figure it out. Somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot for the fans, right? And I do feel that the return is way more to the David side than to the Mark side. I would compare David's literary and storytelling style to what's that? I forget who the artist is. The Sunday Afternoon on the Island of Le Grand Jeté. That picture. Most Americans know the picture from that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's all the people, on the shoreline with the bustle dresses and the and if you look at it closer and closer and closer, you realize that it's all made up of little dots. If you get close enough, it's all just a swarm of dots that make zero sense. And you got to pull back farther and farther and farther to see any portion of the picture, and then if you pull back far enough, you see the whole picture. And I feel like that's what, those scenes, for example, at the Roadhouse, where you're seeing all these characters that they do relate to the main story. They have some connection to those characters, if only because they're mentioning somebody who's involved in this situation, who knows whatever. It's like looking at those little granular dots, and trying to suss out, is this part of somebody's dress, or is this part of the parasol, or is this the grass? You don't know, until you, like for me, have watched the series over and over and over again. You start to understand who these characters are. You recognize them by name. Oh, that person worked with so and so, who is a friend of or dating so and so, whom I actually know. You know what I mean? So I just think that's David's style. You can look at it as style for style's sake and just say, well, he's creating a world, and I don't really need all that detail in order to understand, the story I want to focus on. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes he has a way of using those apparently extraneous elements to leave the seed of story that may not mean anything at the time, but then when you go back to it, you go, wait a minute. I mean, I've had a lot of instances like that as I've watched Twin Peaks over the years. Let's just go to the first 2 seasons, right? Which was a fairly linear storytelling, right? We start, what is it, February of was it 89, I think it was, or something like that. And it's only a couple of weeks that the first season represents, and then a few more weeks, or maybe it's the following year. It can't even be a following year. It's later that year for the second season. And then when you see Fire Walk with Me, you're jumping back in time to just before all of that, overlapping with the last part of Laura Palmer's Secret Diary. And suddenly, as you're watching Fire Walk with Me, you're going, oh, okay, that's how this ties in. That's how that ties in. Oh, that little mention on this page of Laura's diary. I get that. I see what they're getting at there. And, all this kind of stuff. That's...
I do want to acknowledge the chat here. We've had a few people join us. Thank
Yep.
you, Leah Arvin, for becoming a member.
Awesome.
All right. I also want to say hello to my partner in crime, the toxic gunslinger himself, the man who cannot be killed, Outlaw Bill. I will be joining Bill Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern for Action Theater, and we will be watching Taylor Sheridan's Wind River.
Interesting.
Starring Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen, and you Yellowstone fans, you're going to recognize a few of the other faces. So
I saw that movie. I remember now. It's like a bit of a whodunit in a way, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of a modern day Western / whodunit.
Yeah. Yeah, I would call it a Western. Sure. Yeah.
Indeed. Of course, Big Al presents. Al has a video out right now where he reviews both of the Den of Thieves movies. So check that out. And I am going to be joining Al this Friday for a special Films with Friends, starting at a new time, 7 p.m. Because we are watching Ice Station Zebra, and that's a near 3-hour film. And so we're starting a little bit earlier. So check us out there, 7 p.m. Friday. And hello to Geek Flag. Good to see you, sir. My biggest problem with season 3 is I don't get a sense that David Lynch had a clear vision. It was almost as if he had ideas and he just filmed them. That was kind of the main issue that I had. And I thought that the time that was spent on the cameos, on these sort of satellite characters, you had an episode called Let's Rock where absolutely nothing happens for an hour.
Kind of true.
In my opinion. I think that's the worst, hands down, episode, not only of the season, but of the show, especially when you were coming off of the episode that came before it, that, did answer a lot of questions. It raised some too, of course, but yeah, I mean,
Let me
understand,
give
I'm
you an
not ripping
example.
on the show as a whole. I'm just, there were parts of season 3 that I had issues.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
have
Go ahead.
me?
Yeah.
I just want to say, I thought it was a little ridiculous that there was a third, like Renault or like a twin or something of Jacques, right? Popping up.
I agree with you, but I really felt like that was, and actually, it was a third instance of a character played by the same actor. That was actually, I think, the fourth Renault brother. Remember, there was the one that had the one that wasn't as heavy that ends up getting. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what happened to him. Was he
All right,
killed by?
we have Bernard,
What
who's
happened?
killed in season 1,
Right.
ostensibly by Leo, even though we never see it.
Right.
We have Jacques, who's killed
who was
by
killed by
Leland.
Leland. Right.
Mhm. We have the older brother, whose name escapes me at the moment. He's played by Michael Parks, who's shot by Cooper in season 2.
That's right. That's right.
And now we have the fourth brother, where you have Walter Olkowitz coming back,
right,
and playing this. And who's to say they weren't twins?
Okay.
That's
just
true.
putting it out there.
What about? Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, as an example to what Deleted was talking about, and this isn't related to the return, but it's going back to Fire Walk with Me again. It was the whole thing about Judy, right? I feel like when he originally introduced the concept of Judy, well, actually, this isn't even a feel like. This is, I've read the behind the scenes and some of the original concepts. Judy, what they had intended when they put those lines in for David Bowie in Fire Walk with Me, and what Judy ended up becoming were two very different things. So I do feel like he does cast a wide net, and he sees what sticks, and sometimes he changes his mind after the fact. Honestly, though, what writer doesn't do that? George Lucas did the same thing. Despite what people think, the idea of Darth Vader being his father and Princess Leia being Luke's sister was not in his original thought pattern, and he didn't even decide on that until he decided the father thing for Empire Strikes Back. He decided the sister thing for Return of the Jedi. He had a completely different plan, and he changed it as he went. So I would argue that, yes, you're probably right. He doesn't have all the I's dotted and T's crossed, but I do think he's got a general plan. And like a sketch artist, he draws in a few lines, and then he realizes, okay, some of this is not where I wanted to go. He'll go in with his eraser and take some of it out, and then he'll, darken in some of those lines. I think that's a good analogy, I think, of what David Lynch does. Just my take on it. But something that we've been kind of skirting around a little bit, we talked about it a lot as we got into the season 3, and I think we should touch on it again. Season 3 tends to put a pretty fine point on something that is barely alluded to in the first 2 seasons, but seems very obvious by the 3rd season. And that's the concept of how much of this narrative is meant to be taken literally and how much of it should we consider to just be a dream, as if this whole story is taking place in somebody's dream world, or maybe it's a collective unconscious of more than one person's dreams.
Interesting.
If you look at all the so-called weirdness of this Lynch verse and apply dream logic to it, suddenly seems a little bit more reasonable. You know, you got these weird events that don't seem to make any sense, but make sense to somebody within the narrative. Suddenly you got a portal in the sky trying to suck you in. And you find yourself in another place with red drapes and a dancing dwarf and, you know, people talking backwards. Honestly, I could totally see that kind of stuff happening in a dream.
And gangsters having prophetic dreams of cherry pie.
Right, exactly.
And cherry pie saves the world, basically. That's what I got from that.
Honestly, that's not that outrageous. Cherry pie is a good thing. It really
If people
is.
would just have a piece of cherry pie, there would be less conflict in the world, right? Probably.
So we did talk about, and I hope, MC, now that you're here, maybe you go back and you watch some of the previous streams that we've done. Most of the previous streams were commentaries over episodes and the films. So you might have to have your own copies if you want to use us as a like a narrative DVD extra. But we get into some of these interpretations, like, for example, looking at, and especially since I was just talking about the whole Judy / Zhao Day thing, right? So the return kind of covers this, but then the secret history and to some degree the final dossier touches on this too, as it goes into the timeline of Twin Peaks and whatnot, going back to 3000 BC, the earliest Sumerian myths of the Utuku, including Zhao Day and Baal, date to this time period. So Zhao Day is the Mesopotamian female goddess who is supposed to be the analog to, or the mate to, Baal, who by, you know, all Judeo-Christian, you know, understanding is a demon. Definitely one of the big ones. If it's not the devil, it's, you know, definitely one of the arch devils, right? And Zhao Day is right up there with him. And when we see that jump back in time to the Trinity testing, right? And it's either opening a portal or outright creating this figure that belches forth all of these, you know, all this sputum, including one of them being an orb that contains Bob. You know, yeah, you could argue that if that entity is Judy, right, then Bob is a spawn of Judy, right? The I don't know, the Antichrist or a demon of some kind or whatever.
Were there other Bobs out there, though?
That is an excellent question. That is something I have thought about. I don't have an answer for you, but doesn't it seem reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
Since you see, you know, so much coming out in that scene. But then again, you also have the firemen, right? when Bob comes into existence, he creates an antithesis, something to defeat Bob, and that is the entity of, or the golden orb of, Laura, right? So, oh, you haven't seen The Return. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? When you do, maybe go back and, I mean, I would encourage you to watch it straight through. Just watch it and then, sit there and do kind of what Deleted Scenes did. Go, the hell did I just watch?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I don't want to, despite the fact that I have some reservations when it comes to The Return. That doesn't mean I'm telling anybody don't watch it. If you are a Twin Peaks fan, especially, yes, very much so, watch it.
In fact, maybe you need to watch it more than one time. As JPRPH1 was saying earlier, he's watched it a number of times, and he gets more out of it each time. And I've said the same thing about the original series, too. You pick up more details the more you watch it. I think that's what I love the most about Twin Peaks. You don't need to reboot this thing. You don't need to remake it. You don't need to go back and re-edit it or reimagine. Just go back and watch it again. And it's like watching it all over again new, because there is new stuff to draw out of it. And you'll get new ideas and a new perspective on the mystery and so forth.
You don't need to redo anything and remake anything at this point. I'm tired of remakes.
I've reached that point too.
See,
tired Bloggerade. Good to see you, Curtis Selby.
Welcome, Curtis. See, I'm going to disagree with you, Nate. Nate says that's another thing. I have a problem with a TV show or movie. It shouldn't require such. No TV show or movie should require such homework. If you're telling me a story and I don't get it, that's the fault of the storyteller, not me. I disagree strongly. Because that's like saying, look, if I have to cut up my steak and lift it to my mouth, then it's just not worth it. You cook the steak, you should cut it up into little pieces and then come feed it to me. Look, some shows should be pretty straightforward. If you want to watch a sitcom, if you want to watch, a popcorn movie, that's fine. Mindless entertainment is great. But, sometimes abstract things that make you think is good. A little audience participation, expecting you to not get it the first time through. Have to stop and think and scratch and go back and look at it again. Talk to your friends about it. Maybe they know something that you don't. Maybe there's an allusion to some other piece of literature that you haven't read before. So maybe you go read, that classic piece of literature you didn't know about. And you get more story and more story. I'll tell you what, you watch 3 seasons of a series and a single movie, and you get 30 some years of enjoyment out of it, where you can keep going back and keep watching it over and over again and getting something more out of it. And then someone says, hey, did you ever see a little girl that lives down the lane? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, it was a big influence on, the Laura Palmer story. No, I have to go see it. And then you go see another movie because it gives you another bit of insight on it.
Was that the one with Jodie Foster?
Yes.
I want to say yes. Yeah.
And who plays the young man in that? Not the Charlie Sheen character, or the Martin Sheen character. The one who plays the young man, and that is the actor who played Bad Ronald.
Yep.
Oh, geez, it comes back to that, doesn't it?
Well, here's the disturbing thing. I watched Bad Ronald, and then I watched the little girl that lives down the lane, and I saw this magician kid that's hanging out with her. I'm like, wait a minute. That's the actor who played Bad Ronald. I knew it right away, and I freaked out because I watched them close together, and it was weird. But yeah,
going back to what Nate is saying here, my opinion is, you're not doing homework. You're watching the same show. This isn't well, like with the Marvel movies now, like let's say, for example, the Doctor Strange sequel, which was really a sequel to WandaVision.
Yes.
And if you don't watch WandaVision, you're going to be lost. I didn't feel watching the season 3 of Twin Peaks like I was lost.
Yeah.
I did
Lots of
feel
different
like I
shows.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's you are watching the same show. I mean, the only real quote unquote homework would be Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
Because the way I see the books, and let's say, for example, the books are just augmenting what you're seeing on screen. The fan films are what ifs.
In a way,
That's the way I
fan
see it.
films are kind of like what you and I are doing
Yeah.
right now. Fans sharing their thoughts, their theories, their impressions,
Mhm.
and I do think that is part of it, and let's face it, I think even the fan filmmakers will, if something else comes out, that, if we get another season, for example, and it kind of countermands everything they did, they're like, well, I guess my theory was wrong. Let's start over again,
Mhm.
and that's kind of part of the fun too, right?
My theories were certainly off base, but
Not
in
all
the
of them
end,
though. Not all of them though. You were on to some of it.
Well,
some of it,
Yeah.
where it counted, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
did you imagine what was going to happen with Audrey Horne?
I still don't know what happened with Audrey.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
That's, but it's like
Oh.
you said when we were watching those episodes, Troy. It's the whole, well, who is the dreamer question.
Right.
Right. When Monica Bellucci shows up randomly into the program, but just long enough for you to go, Monica Bellucci, and she's gone. And so there you go again. But
but she does
they
deliver
go
the
with
line that, like I said,
she
I
does
think kind of
deliver
implies
the important line. Yeah. So I think
that it is a
figures
dream,
into,
right?
But yeah, but I mean, the first 2 seasons were grounded enough, and this is what I can't get my head around, is that the first 2 seasons were grounded enough that I didn't look at it as I was watching a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I am watching real life within the context of the show. So that it kind of recontextualizes a line that Harry has in the first season when he introduces Cooper to the Bookhouse Boys. And he says, Twin Peaks, we're away from the world and we like it that way. Some words to that effect. That's not the exact line, but something like that. I always got the idea that this is our town. A lot of the trouble that we're having right now is kind of coming from outside, aka the Renaults.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to stop the outside world from infecting the town. And when I was watching season 3, I felt like that happened anyway. that it was the outside world infecting the town. But if the whole thing is just a dream world possibly inside Audrey's head anyway, then all that's gone. Then you're in Tommy Westfall's snow globe at that point.
I think that
I don't want to think that.
I think that might be putting too fine a point on it. I think that even if it is a dream, I have a hard time believing that it's Audrey's dream. Like I said, that's why I speculated the possibility that, well, maybe this is a collective unconscious where there's more than one dreamer. You know, when Monica Bellucci says, you know, this is what is the exact quote? This is like a dreamer who dreams, but who is the, I don't remember, but the important point is, who is the dreamer, right? Who is the dreamer? Now, because we're having that narrate, that dream of Monica Bellucci is being described to us by David Lynch's insert character of Agent Cole, it does seem to imply that it's his dream. But, and I know I tried to get this point across during that episode, and I think I failed. So I'm going to try again, and I'm going to be real specific about it. You've got to look back at that scene with Monica Bellucci and really look at the cinematography there. There's a lot of her speaking directly into the camera, right? Now, it's because she's sitting across from Cole, you assume that she is speaking to Cole. But when she says, but who is the dreamer? He turns and looks over his shoulder, himself looking into the camera. He is now looking at you. So who is the dreamer? Cole. Actually, who is the dreamer? David. And David turns and looks at you.
Ah!
So I don't think it's Audrey who's the dreamer. I think you are the dreamer. And you're being guided in that dream by David.
Steven, do you know what part of the outside world I thought infected the town in season 3?
What's that?
I think his name was Chad. Am I wrong here? It's like Chad, everything, like, if anyone doesn't belong in Twin Peaks, it was Chad. His whole attitude toward everything. It's just...
I did feel like Chad represented a certain
member of the audience,
less than innocent element, right? A very modern, very oh gosh, here's where I lose subscribers. A very Snyder-esque type world. You know, this grim dark, you know, gritty realism type thing that the Twin Peaks we knew was kind of holding the line against. You get that also when you see Bobby, you know, go deal with the woman, you know, in the car outside the, yeah, you know, that intrusion of that horrible real world type element.
I've run into people like that.
I know, right?
That's the horrible thing. You think that's, oh, it's just a show. No, it's not. It's really...
But I will acquiesce to this. MC says that he watched Lynch's Rabbits and never understood any of it. Sometimes you can get too surreal. I love Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive, though. Yeah, I do feel like you get enough of a narrative in Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive, which with you try to understand what all the weird stuff is, but there's clearly a narrative that you can follow. Stuff like rabbits is just absolute pure surrealism. It is very abstract. There is no linear story to follow there. I mean, even Eraserhead has more of a narrative storyline than rabbits.
Oh no.
When I think of Eraserhead, I think of Cornish game hens, but
Yeah, or we are going to have to do a watch of that on this stream, and we are going to have to talk about some very uncomfortable allusions in this.
I haven't had a Cornish game hen in ages.
I've actually got 2 in the freezer.
Those are nice.
Yeah, no, those are nice. Or like, and sometimes you go to a restaurant, they might give you half of one. You know, I've seen that too. But it's got the stuffing inside. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Originally, I was going to do a cooking video with the Cornish game hens, and I was going to prepare them in the style of porgs from Star Wars.
Funny. That's what they look like when he was cooking.
Right?
Yes. Yep. That's more weird, bad Ryan Johnson humor in that scene when he's trying to eat the porg. I'm just, and the porgs are looking at him. Why did we bring this up on a Twin Peaks stream? I apologize.
It does seem appropriate, though.
It does tie back, though, because he almost directed Return of the Jedi. David Lynch. I would have loved to have seen David Lynch's Return of the Jedi. What
you
Earth
did? It was called Dune.
Oh, well, that's true. I was thinking, what Earth in the multiverse do I have to go to find the Lynch Return of the Jedi?
Right.
Where he said yes. I'm just.
But it's funny that he mentions the rabbits, because I do have that David Lynch's lime green box. I've got a lot of his short films on there, and some other stuff that we need to start looking at. And speaking of Mulholland Drive, there will be a watch party of Mulholland Drive in this slot sometime this year.
Mm-hmm.
It is not right away, though. I need time to prepare, because I have I have watched Mulholland Drive more times, I think, definitely more times than I've watched season 3 of Twin Peaks. I may have actually watched it more times than I've watched Fire Walk with Me.
I got the Criterion Blu-ray of that was recently released. That's a nice Blu-ray. I recommend
Is it?
Yes. It's I don't have their Blu-ray of Mulholland Drive though. Unfortunately, I bought the regular DVD of that, but oh well.
Okay.
I have the Criterion DVD, but I didn't get the Blu-ray. Should have gotten it on Blu-ray.
And did they preserve the fact that there are no chapter breaks in the Blu-ray?
No, when it's Criterion, there ain't gonna be no chapter breaks. That's a thing that Criterion respects Lynch's wishes, and they will not put chapter breaks on this.
That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Yeah,
which drives me crazy, because I want to get to the cowboy scene in Mulholland Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the cowboy scene that you want to get to.
Hey,
sure it is.
Yeah, before that, we get to the cowboy scene.
Oh, don't get me started.
Which tells you more than you realize on first watch.
Yeah.
I do want to say hello to our man from the future, Sashi.
Oh, welcome, Sashi. Good to see you, my friend.
Okay. And to answer Davina's question, Mulholland Drive did start out as a television show. In fact, the film, up until the last, I'd say maybe 20 minutes, half hour of it, is pretty much the pilot episode of that series. And when the networks didn't bite, he turned it into a film.
It would be, I don't know if this would be a wise idea, but it would be cool if we could have gotten, well, he probably wouldn't be directing it now anyway, but we could have gotten that could have been his other project, the actual television version of Mulholland Drive as he envisioned it. That might have been interesting, but maybe it's best we leave that alone.
Well, that would almost have to be another alternate Earth or something, alternate timeline. Because wasn't it originally meant to be a vehicle for Sherilyn Fenn? They were going to spin off her Audrey Horne character.
Interesting.
Isn't that right?
I don't know.
That part I had not heard.
I thought so. I think
she was my favorite character on the original Twin Peaks. That's why I'm sort of
Yeah,
taken aback.
She embodied a lot of the elements that I projected onto Laura Palmer. But Laura Palmer wasn't an active character anymore, right? You start out the show with her death, and then you fill in a lot of the blanks as you go. But there was a lot that Laura and Audrey had in common, and even though David Lynch wanted to keep Cheryl Lee in, and that's why they created, the identical cousin, right?
Yes. She
was a very different character. Audrey was more reflective of Laura. She could have gone on a similar trajectory to Laura, but she was clearly on a different path. Their stories diverge, or however. I'm not sure I'm being clear, but that was my thought on it. But it was apparently the original story was she was going to go to Hollywood. She was going to try becoming an actress and everything. And not sure where Mulholland Drive would have gone after that first episode. But it is no longer compatible with the story of Audrey, simply because, it didn't become a series. It was a movie with a very specific beginning and end, Nate caught what I was saying. Yeah, like Patty Duke.
Identical cousins
are two of a kind.
You know, that show, the Patty Duke show, was apparently very pioneering for special effects, but for television effects.
Yeah.
How they would get both of them on screen at the same time. I think they might have been using some form of a blue screen, or they did something.
No, it was split screen is what they did, but it was
innovative what they did. Yeah.
It was innovative split screen. It was because they were doing it every week, they were really refined. Now, of course, there was a stand-in. There was a lot of over-the-shoulder shots and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very clever, not seeing both of their faces at the same time and whatnot. But this is going to surprise you. When it comes to the same actor playing two roles in a scene, the one that really pushed the envelope, and it still didn't involve green screen, was Star Trek: The Next Generation. That was the first show where they took the split screen and were able to have one person walk around the other. Every other show, like Patty Duke and any other shows in that era that had split screen, it was literally a split screen. The person on the left side of the screen could not walk onto the right side of the screen. Or if they did, the other one had to step off and the camera had to follow and maintain that division between them. And I'm not entirely certain how they did it on Star Trek, but it was a scene where Brent Spiner is playing both Data and Lore. And Lore walks around Data. And I'm not entirely certain how they did it, but it was the first time I'd ever seen that kind of a thing. And they started to get to the point where they could have one character hand an object to the other person in camera. They got really good at it. Always pushing that envelope. Who knows? Maybe they said to David Lynch, "How do I get a hold of a doppelganger of this actor?" Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But so anyway, real quick, what I wanted to do was I have up the I always refer to we didn't get a lot of like encyclopedias and chronologies and stuff for Twin Peaks like we did for Star Trek, but the Twin Peaks wiki, the fan generated wiki is a great resource that I'm always going to, and they have a timeline on there. So I wanted to take a quick look at it, kind of, because the first thing it does is it goes through the what is the source material. Okay, so it starts out and time period. So it puts them in chronological order. Starts out with the 2017 return, which has an element that talks about July 1945 to August 1956. The next thing chronologically is the autobiography of FBI Special Agent Dale Cooper, My Life, My Tapes. It goes from December of 67 to February 89, which is where, of course, Twin Peaks starts. That's overlapping Laura Palmer's Secret Diary, which goes July 83 to February 89. She receives her diary on her birthday, and it leads up to just before she dies, the night before she dies. Of course, Fire Walk with Me and The Missing Pieces overlap those last few days, last few months, I should say. February 88 through February 89, and then into March of 89. It does jump forward a bit. And then we get into season 1 of Twin Peaks, as well as Diane, the Twin Peaks tapes of Agent Cooper, which, kind of fill in between the episodes, February 89 to March 89. Season 2 and the Access Guide to the Town is March 89. Then again, we're going to jump back to the Twin Peaks Showtime series, which we can just call season 3. September 2016 to October 2016. And then The Secret History of Twin Peaks, which takes us through the end of 2016. And of course, the final dossier goes up through September of 2017. So we haven't talked yet about the Secret History of Twin Peaks. I want to maybe get a bit of a synopsis put together for that. I haven't done that yet. Sorry, I've been delinquent with the holidays and some transitions over on my channel. But before I go on, I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Thank you so much, Nate. He sent a $2 super chat to say, God bless you, Netter.
Oh, thank you.
Do you need...
No, I got tissues over here.
Okay.
All right. Real quick, Boomer, I think this one's for you.
Yes. Oh. Flappy ran for governor of California in 92, but after he was caught in a motel room, 2 eggs that didn't belong to him and a bag of cocaine, it was over. I'd heard about that. Yeah, that's... I think he was part of, what was it, Ross Perot's party. That's what he was running under, right? The Reform Party.
Right. Exactly.
That wasn't cocaine. That was powdered sugar from the donuts.
Oh, it was powdered sugar for the donuts. Yeah, right.
No, I think he went to the donut shop and I want the powdered sugar donuts. Wink, wink. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That's how they smuggle them out.
So let me give you a quick synopsis. So, Twin Peaks from 90 to 91. Although the show contains many inconsistencies, it is commonly agreed that the events take place in February and March of 1989. In the pilot, Dale states into his tape recorder that the date is February 24th, and Ronette's medical chart in episode 8 confirms that her hospital admission was on that date in February 24th, 1989. This year is given in subsequent releases, including Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, and The Secret History of Twin Peaks. Occasionally, identical dates visible on screen differ. For instance, Emery Battis's book in episode 6 describes events up to February 25th, 1990, when the date at the time should be March 2nd of 1989. Before the original TV broadcast of episode 24, a short vignette featuring Dale Cooper summarizing recent episodes, uses the episode's air dates, Thursday, March 28, 1990, rather than the in-story date. Fire Walk with Me, the film establishes Laura's murder to be on Thursday to Friday night. The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. The novel was written to place Laura's death after October 31st, 1989, with her birthday being July 22nd, 1972, making her about a year younger than myself. Just throwing that out there. Contrary to the TV show, which places her death on February 24th, 1989, at age 17. To compensate, the dates for most events that do not otherwise conflict with the series or Fire Walk with Me are placed 1 year prior. The exceptions are 2 chapters concerning Lawrence Jacoby, which remain set in November of 88 and January of 89 for consistency with dialogue in the series, establishing that Laura started therapy 6 months ago, around August of 88. My Life, My Tapes. The account of Carolyn Earle's murder by her husband is set in 1979, contradicting dialogue in episode 17 that place it 4 years prior, around 1985. To account for this, all events in Part 5, Chapter 2, April 1978, through Part 6, Chapter 1, July 1980, are advanced forward 6 years, to 84 to 86. Access Guide to the Town. The introductory letter by Mayor Dwayne Milford is dated 1991, the actual publication year of the book itself. However, the fictional guide was apparently written in mid-March of 89. Leland Palmer's death is referenced, but not that of Josie Packard's. The Secret History of Twin Peaks. The framing story of the novel, involving the recovery of the archivist's dossier, is set in July and August of 2016. However, the sequel, The Final Dossier, indicates the dossier was discovered after the events of the limited series, placing it in October 2016 or later. Twin Peaks: The Return, 2017. The current dating scheme originates from dialogue in Part 9, which indicates that the date in Twin Peaks, South Dakota, and Las Vegas is September 29th, as the events surrounding Dale Cooper in Las Vegas cover only a few consecutive days. This allows for a reasonable extrapolation of most scenes to a particular date. In Part 3, the date of Cooper's car crash is 9/22, although this may be an oversight. In another possible error, Lucky 7 Insurance appears to be open for business on 7 consecutive dates, September 26th to October 2nd. Actually, having worked in insurance, that would not necessarily surprise me. The year is not stated in the series, other than indications of 25 years after the events of the original series. Twin Peaks: The Final Dossier establishes the year as 2016. Actually, 27 years and 7 months later, although this contradicts the date of Hastings' arrest, September 23rd, being stated as a Saturday. The Search for the Zone tie-in website indicates that Hastings last updated last updated his blog in November 2015 and implies that he had gone missing by this time. It is unclear to what degree the events taking place in and around Twin Peaks are concurrent with those involving Dale Cooper and the doppelganger and even other Twin Peaks scenes. For example, the Great Northern Hotel key mailed by Jade in Part 5 arrives in town at some point during Part 7, which is set contemporaneously. If set contemporaneously, would require a transit time of less than a day. Andy Brennan's watch in Part 7 shows the date is the 10th, possibly September 10th. So those are some of the temporal inconsistencies. I am very okay with presuming that those are all just, editing errors or, oversights. But given the wibbly wobbly, timey wimey nature of Twin Peaks as we see it in The Return, you could make an argument that time operates a little bit differently, and inconsistencies could be chalked up to, shenanigans in the timeline.
Shenanigans?
Yes. Yes.
Because you can't say they're up to Bennigans, because that would be something different.
Well, yeah, exactly.
He's trying to be funny, folks.
It's fine.
But, yeah.
Or atomic bombs opening a hole in the fabric of reality. Yeah. And Kopla, to our resident Klingon, Mark Malikoff. Good to see you, sir.
No connect.
I don't know. David Lynch has a lot of cool videos where he talks about stories, though, like that one about Return of the Jedi, though. Have you seen those?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah. I feel like he I think he thought it wasn't really exactly his cup of tea. So
well, he basically said, look, he's not picking on George. He says, George does his thing, I do my thing. It's just that his thing is not the thing I do. That's what he was basically saying. Yeah. He was basically saying he was wrong for the movie. That's what he thought, which I guess he was right in some respects. But we might have seen a dancing Ewok,
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
And then Chewbacca would have had a saxophone and started playing music of the dancing Ewok.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. That would be very. No, I honestly, I think that David Lynch, he did do Dune. That was another writer's piece of work. He told the basic story. He just put some of his own little embellishments on it.
That weird little girl in that.
Right.
The Cuisar Satarak.
Kwisatz Haderach. Yeah.
Whatever it was. I can't pronounce half the stuff in that universe. Let's be honest here.
Oh, I can't pronounce that either. Don't feel bad.
Oh, but there's your tie-in, right? Because Alia, the little girl, was played by Alicia Witt, who, of course, was in Twin Peaks.
I mean, I usually say, Cuisinart's got a hat, so,
the Cuisinart's got a hat, yeah. Cuisinart's hat rack. So, where do we go from here?
Where do we go?
Yeah, we're not going to do a rewatch of Once More with Feeling, the Buffy musical. At least not on this channel.
It's clear.
That's what David Lynch needed to do. We need to do a musical. Am I wrong?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He could probably pull it off. It would be weird, but he'd pull it off.
I mean, he's directed a lot of music videos. He's done a lot of work with Chris DeBell. I could kind of see that.
Musical would include Roy Orbison's and Dreams.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, any final thoughts before we start wrapping the show up?
Eight and a half survivors. Did not know that. I'll have to look into that.
It's a side conversation.
That Chris DeBell was in a swing band.
Cool.
Right on. All right. So, all right, we'll go one time around the horn. Boomer.
Oh, yeah, we got some. I'm gonna be on with Troy on Friday. We haven't discussed the topic yet. I have some ideas, though. Maybe I'll mention to him after the stream for Friday night last call, and then on Sunday will be Geeky Geezers with no Oscar announcements this week, but we will have you on the following week, I assume, because of unfortunately those horrible fires they were having out in California. But we are probably going to talk. There's a rumor going around that Nintendo may finally do the big reveal this week for the Switch 2. So we'll see if that happens. All right.
Netter.
Oh, let's see. Right after the stream, I will be on the last call with Troy Pacelli for Lake 7, picking up where we left off last year. Let's see, then on Thursday, I don't have a guest, so it's going to be me and Troy just shooting the breeze. And then Friday, I'll be co-hosting on Last Call with Troy Pacelli. And Saturday, over on Netter's Network, we will be watching The Fall of the House of Usher.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week, I'm back here again.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Troy.
So like they were saying, right, if you stay right where you're at, right after here, you'll be auto-dramatically forwarded to Last Call Presents Blake 7, starting that back up tonight. We will finally be catching up with the crew of the Liberator. They had a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of season 1, where Aurak had predicted, he made a prediction, right? And it appears that the Liberator will be destroyed. And we were left wondering how and why and when, and we're going to get all of those answers in the next episode called Redemption. So that'll be on my channel right after this.
Cool.
All right. These things on back around to me. And for those of you who are watching on my channel, you will be redirected to Troy's channel for that broadcast. Okay, let's see. It is now Tuesday. So, like I said earlier, Thursday, I will be joining Outlaw Bill for Action Theater. We're going to be watching Taylor Sheridan's Wind River. That'll be at 3:30 p.m. And then, of course, there will be my Coming Attractions show, which will be at 11:30, right after Thursday Things. Friday, I will be joining Big Al Presents for Films with Friends, 7 p.m. Eastern, we will be watching Ice Station Zebra. Next Tuesday, we will be back, but perhaps at a different time. We might be starting a little bit earlier because I am going to be joining the gang over at 32 Flavors of Nicolizer for Toxic Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
And we are going to be discussing the Equalizer 3. So that'll be at, I believe, 9:35-ish.
It was a good movie.
It was.
Yeah.
And let's see. And I do want to remind everybody that my midnight show will be returning sometime in the next couple of weeks. The premiere might have hit a little bit of a snag, but I'm going to let everybody know exactly when that show is coming back. I do have a guest lined up. It's just going to be a matter of when we're going to be able to get a schedule straight to come on. But that show will return. And let's see what else. There was one more thing. Yes, the Mystery Movie Night podcast will also return. Sin's Corner, Off the Cover, and Kyle Corwith and myself will be discussing the Mystery Movie Night selection. And that will be Tuesday, January the 28th at 7.
Cool.
All right.
Mystery meat movie. Sorry. I think of mystery meat when I think of mystery movies. I don't know why. Just
Mark Malnikoff says that's not the redemption you're looking for. And stay away from the airlocks. They have an airlock issue on that show. Definitely. They will be teleported onto an exciting future on Blake 7, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. David Lynch used Roy Orbison's Crying in Mulholland Drive. Yes, he did. Does anyone really care about the Oscars anymore? No, but I'm going to be talking about them anyway. Because I am a pop culture channel, and it's part of it. So I will either be very happy or I will mercilessly riff it, depending on who gets nominated and who wins. Mark Malnikoff saying, just as a note, if you don't see me in your streams this week or the next, I'm okay. All hell's broken loose into lithium mines and me taking on extra stuff. Fair enough. All right. So, Annie. Oh, and thank you very much. I had always intended to take a few weeks off, not a few months, but it is coming back. I assure you. I do have one guest line up. I'm looking to talk to a couple of others here in the next few days to see if they want to come on. And when I have everything finalized, you will know. All right. Any last words before we wrap it up?
Excelsior.
I was going to say Flappy.
Fair enough. All hail Flappy. Justice for Flappy.
Yeah, justice for Flappy. Exactly. The world was cruel to him. He was cruel to the world too. So I'm not going to say that, but
There you go.
Damn that bird.
He didn't govern his passions as Spock always advised.
True.
They were his undoing. Yes.
David Lynch is a mad genius, indeed. Hail Flappy.
I would say, in equal measures, mad and genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Netter, would you like to play us out with your last words?
Sure thing. Well, y'all know what I always say. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well and fun. But it's so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping the comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you know you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now and you're here. And that's so encouraging. I love seeing you guys in each of our streams. And if you're not here, I miss you. And then I start to wonder, are you guys okay? So make sure you pop in, at least just to say hello, even if you can't stick around, because that's important. But thank you for the many ways that you encourage us, the many ways that you support our channels. We don't do this for us. We do this for you. So hopefully you continue to like our content, continue to like us.
Yeah.
And until next time, which will be over on Troy's channel in just a few minutes, good night and God bless.
All right. And as I always say at the end of every show, thank you all very much for joining us. I do want to thank my little brother Lee once again for becoming a member.
Oh, cool.
I want to thank Space Fraggle and Nate for the super chats. And I want to thank Tom Connors and everyone over at the hell was that?
Well, you got ghosts?
No, that was fireworks and or gunfire. Welcome to my neighborhood.
Oh,
all right.
wow.
Yeah. Wow. All right. And I want to thank Tom Connors and everyone at Mead for the raid. Thank you, Curtis, for the Tired Midnight Blogger raid. 84 people were watching us at one point during the course of the broadcast. So thank you all very much for joining us. We will return next week from HQ, the corner of Sparkwood and 21, in all points north, south, east, west, and beyond. Good night. Take care. Stay strong. Be safe and healthy, because this is how we win.